What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso. Quick Saturday, live from London pod. Joe, Paul, Will, all in the same hotel, all in different rooms podcasting because this is just the easiest way to do it. Before we head over to Belushi's London Bridge, what we're going to do here is I've been with these guys the last 2 days, and they both think the Jets are going to win tomorrow. And I think that's a little crazy. So I'm going to have them convince me over the next 10 to 12 minutes why it is not insane to pick the Jets to win. And then we're going to carry on our merry way and hopefully see you guys in person. Will, I'll let you go first.
So I'm not even sure I'm at the point of picking the Jets to win, but I will say there is a path that partially is very much, I guess, a mix of hopium and just weird things happen in London. We always see, I kind of talked about this a little bit on Thursday's pod, but we see it every year. Like the Jets were victim of it against the Falcons years ago, where like someone just comes out sleepwalking the first half. It's a weird timed game. The Broncos are coming off an emotional high of beating the Super Bowl champs. Do they like kind of sleepwalk into this game a little bit? It's London. We're happy to be here. The Jets stink. That's part of it. And again, maybe it's stupid because we said that about the Bills game. We said that about the Cowboys game. But there's that. And then I also just think like, I don't know, there's like Jermaine being back and having a real kick returner, and does a fumble fall their way weirdly? I mean, again, we're hopium among all hopium here, but like there just feel like there's a path of like there's times where they've played decently well. The Bronco, like Bo Nix has a stinker. Like, does he give you one early on, and it's like, oh, we're up 7-0. Like, hey, like anything could happen. It's a weird game. That's kind of my biggest, I guess, reasoning right now, which is kind of bullshit, but it is what it is.
We'll take it. What do you think, PK?
Yes, I mean, again, I think it's a gross mischaracterization of what we've been saying,
That was a
right?
real
Again, I
misstep.
think there's a path, right? And I get that I'm like on the hopeful end of things here and all that. But this is like kind of a back against the wall moment. If we're being honest, last week was a back against the wall moment. At this point, it's like now you're hanging over the edge of the ship. You're about to walk the plank, right? So if you're going to stand up and show something, it's kind of now. And you combine that with the fact that we're overseas, like Will said, wacky things can happen when you're away from home like this. Potentially, it's been talked about a lot this week that maybe like the Jets needed to get away from home a little bit and like just go be somewhere else. They were here for a whole week. They've been away from their normal routine for a while. And I think that there's like some kind of juju stuff we could talk about of like, hey, like Aaron Glenn talked about the Broncos in his first press conference with the Jets, like back in the summer, right? This is a matchup that means more to him. Whether or not this is an AFC championship or not, it doesn't matter. Like he still remembers losing to the Broncos in the 98 AFC championship. He worked for Sean Payton in the past. There are a lot of elements to this game that truly are really bad matchups. Like this is not on paper a good team for the Jets to go up against, right? But there are opportunities, right? This is a team with a really good pass rush. How are you going to negate that? You're going to run right at it, and you're going to make sure that you don't fumble the ball so that you can establish the run early. The Jets have given up, I think, 73 points in the first half of the last 4 games. They're outscored 73-15 in those 4 games in the first half, right? So that's a point differential of 58, which I believe is like 14 and a half points a game. So if you can find a way to get to halftime, either tied or down by 1 score, or God forbid, even winning, like that kind of puts you on a totally different footing than you have been the last 4 weeks. If you cannot fumble early and not create that turnover and maybe be the recipient of the mistake early on, like there's a lot of small things that they can do in this game to just put them in a better position in the second half to go try and win something. And I think with all that's kind of swirling around the team right now, this is very much like it's kind of a now or never type deal. And if you're going to show something, like now's a pretty good time to show it. And so I think I still, as bad as it's gotten for us this year, I'm still not at the point where like everything here is garbage. Like I get that maybe we overvalued the talent, maybe we overvalued the coaching staff. Like there's a lot of things that maybe we overvalued, but I think having a conversation about whether or not we overvalued it is different than saying everything's garbage, nothing's good, right? There are good things here. Figure out how to lean on your strengths, figure out how to not fall in that big early hole, run right at the pass rush and back it up right out of the gate. And maybe you can find yourself fighting for a win at the end of this game.
I do feel like all these games, they followed that script where it feels like it's close until about the final 4 minutes of the half. And Glenn's talked about this being a point of emphasis and saying the coach owns the last 4 minutes of the half and like that turnaround. They've been so bad at it where it's like get to halftime without the mistake or the extra big play or the turnover or something. And if they can do that and it's just, 6-6 at halftime or 10-6 at halftime and they're in the game, you at least give yourself a chance that if one thing bounces your way, that you steal one. And that does happen regularly in the NFL, but it just can't be that same script where it's 17-3 at halftime, 20-3 at halftime. Game's over then. No one wants to see the garbage time stat compilation again. I do feel like they're going to run fields intentionally a lot in this game, which they didn't do a lot of last week. And if they could do that to complement Brees and Davis, that's something to slow down Denver's pass rush, which I think is going to give the Jets some problems. And I always worry about mobile quarterbacks against the Jets. And Nick's, for his inconsistencies throwing the football is dangerous on the move. And he will run and he will run around. And I worry about our linebackers tracking that. I'm curious if they do anything different rotationally at linebacker. Probably not. I know, Kiko's been a little banged up. They signed all these random linebackers when Quincy got hurt, but guys who do have some experience playing. So do we see Robinson and Jones getting reps? Jermaine will be out there. Does that, just having new blood of Jermaine and Brownlee out there, does it help the defense? Thomas might be playing now because Stevens has a neck injury. Just new guys, new blood. So, my ultimate pick remains that they're going to lose in a similar fashion to how they lost previously. Now, if they win, I'll be here telling you why they're going to be 3-5 at the bye because they're playing the Panthers and Bengals, and that's great. And they're on track to what we thought they'd be, but this is a tough one. I think even before the season started, we were like, this is a tough matchup wherever they'd be playing Denver, but maybe you get some of the weirdness out of London. All right, final thoughts on the matchup before we head out into London town proper. Will and Paul.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those games where you're going to have to create some. I'm kind of sick of the conversation. I think we're all sick of the fumbles and these different things, but make your own turnover luck, man. At some point, make your own luck. Go attack the football. Say whatever you want about Ashton Davis, but I asked him when he was on the pod months ago, and he was like, it's a mentality of this is my football, and I'm going to go make a play. And it's Ash wasn't very good, but he was the one guy who consistently was able to force turnovers. And the point being I'd love to see Sauce get aggressive. If Sauce tries to jump a route and gives up a touchdown, but he's trying to go for a pick six, I think I'd prefer that to some of the other stuff where these guys hey, you missed a tackle because you're trying to punch the football out. I don't know. Just can we have an aggressive week? I know they had the players only meeting. Quinnen seems like he's ready to murder somebody with the way they've been playing. So can this be one of those Quinnen takes over the football game on defense where Sauce is so good with Cortland Sutton, who he's had a lot of success with 3 years of playing the Broncos in a row. Some of Sauce's best games have been against the Broncos. He clinched the one in 22. He was really good in 23. I guess it's much like his career. But point being, can Brees has always had a really big game against the Broncos. Is he probably traded in 2 weeks? Probably. But for right now, can we get a big Brees game? Can the Stars played really well week one, and that's why it was such a good game. The Stars have not consistently all played well together at the same time. I'm calling them Stars because I don't know what else to I don't know what other word you want to use, but yeah, this is don't let Garrett's going to need to win some matchups with Surtain. He's not. That's the one guy who's given him and gives many people problems. His feet are just really good. He's able to kind of match Garrett's weird movements. But yeah, the good players have to be good. I know that sounds very elementary, and me and PK talked about this yesterday. It's getting off the field on third down. It's not turning the football over. They're negative 40.4 EPA in terms of turnovers. That's really fucking bad. So make your own luck with the turnover battles. Don't piss down your leg at the end of the half and the beginning of the half. And you're probably in the football game. And even if you don't win, it probably looks like week one, maybe a low scoring week one, as opposed to kind of the slop that we've seen majority of the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think this game's not going to be won in the first quarter, but it can certainly be lost in the first quarter. So I think step one is don't do that, right? Do not have that moment at the beginning of this game where you let things get out of control and then you can't handle the spin out from that. So number one is be on your P's and Q's early. If you need to play it a little conservative early, fine. But maybe it would be helpful. It would behoove you to get a little aggressive early to try to put yourself on a positive footing rather than operating out of a negative footing. So that's step one. On the Brees thing, I think, yeah, it feels like a foregone conclusion at this point. I would say on that, hey, do you want to show the NFL what you're capable of? Do you want to go to a good trade destination? Because now's a pretty good time to show it. And also, It would be helpful to the team return wise if you can look like your rookie form at this point now. So as far as kind of the defense, I think you can surprise the Broncos at this point just by virtue of being aggressive. Like just that alone, like you don't even have to really be that great. If you could play aggressive and play fast and mean and hit some people, I think you're going to make Denver go, oh, wait a minute. Like this is a different Jets defense than what we watched on tape, because they've been so lifeless and so slow and so appearing outwardly low effort that you can surprise them just by showing up with a little bit of intensity and playing aggressive. And so I think if you can get yourself on that right footing earlier in the game and put yourself in a position where the Broncos are coming out of halftime not feeling like they just need to close up this win and get out of here, but they have to fight for it, maybe you can get yourself in a position where you can fight for it and steal one at the end of the day.
Okay, one quick thing on before Joe wraps us here is like it felt like the Miami game. The game was there to like kill Miami off, and they're a bad team. They're in disarray, and I know it's not the same situation as the Jets this week, but it's like team in disarray. People are talking about tanking and like the whole thing. It feels like the Jets either get killed off in the first 6 minutes of this game. Denver goes down and scores. The Jets go 3 and out or fumble, and it's like the Buffalo game where it's like, holy hell, this is going to be a long afternoon. Or it's like you don't give bad teams hope. So if you're the Jets, again, create your own luck and give yourself your own hope, but you're not walking on the sideline saying, here we go again. It's the opposite of like, oh, here we go. And like Denver's like, oh God, like we're going to have to be in a sloppy mess to get out of here 4-2, like or whatever. Like that's, to me, I think that's the path that you said is like, don't get killed off early and don't before halftime, especially if you don't get the ball back. If you lose the toss and you're like, you don't let teams double up on you. It happened in Tampa. It happened against Dallas. It happened against Buffalo. And it coincidentally didn't happen against Pittsburgh because guess what? That's why it was a good game. So, yeah, that's to me like one thing you mentioned there. Like, give yourself a little belief going into the half and be like, hey, we're right there. Like, let's go out of here with a win. And then it's like, yeah, we can start to do the Carolina-Cincinnati thing. But for right now, like, find a way to get out of London 1-5 and figure it out later.
And players-only meetings are kind of like an old, worn-out thing at this point. But, like, hey, look, that's where we are, right? And if Quinnen has to be the engine for this thing, for a unit that's been kind of falling down all season long, fine, right? Like, there's no person I'd rather have be, like, the change agent who's like, guys, I've fucking had enough of this. Like, let's go. Let's show up today. So if he's the engine, let's do it.
Yeah, so be it.
We're going to see it. I mean, look, I will say the chatter from some of the people around the team that we happened to run into last night was that genuinely there is a good mindset around the team right now, better than people like us may expect. Now, just words. We'll believe it when we see it on the field, but it sure as shit would be nice to see this team come out with a little fight and a little energy. It should feel like a home game from what I could get a sense of in the city so far. It's not like MetLife is a ridiculous home field advantage anyway, so maybe this is a nice needed change of pace. So that's what I'm hoping. I think quick with these games, right? Like we'll know in the first couple drives what kind of game we're getting, and I'd like to just see that early drive they always have, and with a touchdown and not a field goal or a turnover. And if that happens, then maybe it's the game you get a random turnover and a bounce and finally an interception, and that's your formula for an upset. They're rightly 7.5 point underdogs. I think that line will hold. It'll probably tick up even to 8.5, and we'll see. So if we see you out there tonight, say hi. Thank you, everyone, for listening. There will be some version of a pregame show tomorrow. We're still figuring out some of the logistics, but remember, Jetheads pregame, and there'll be our normal postgame show.
7:30 a.m. Eastern time.
With your coffee, it's perfect. There
Exactly.
we go. There it is. What's better than that? Better than seeing Paul and Meeks' face at 7 a.m. on your Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.